All right, so get this. We've got some pretty big news coming out today,
Oh, yeah.
straight from February 3rd, 2025. You know Adia Nutrition, right?
Sure, the supplement company.
Right. Well, they're making a pretty major move, and, well, it's got everyone buzzing.
What are they branching out?
They are. It's stem cell treatments.
Wow, stem cell therapy. That's interesting.
I know, right? So through their medical division, Adia Med,
Okay.
they just opened up their very first U.S. stem cell clinic
Really? Where?
in Winter Park, Florida.
Huh. Interesting choice.
Well, stem cell therapy, you've probably heard about it. I mean,
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of attention.
it has. It's kind of got this, I don't know, almost mythical reputation, right?
Yeah, cutting edge, maybe even a little controversial, depending on who you're asked.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Adia is jumping into this global market that's worth, get this, $15.1 billion.
Wow, that's a huge market. What do you think that tells us?
Well, to me, it says there's definitely a demand for these treatments
For sure.
and that Adia is betting big on stem cell therapy. You know,
That it's going to be a key player in the future of healthcare.
exactly. And we're not just talking about any old stem cells here. They're using ethically sourced umbilical cord stem cells.
Oh, wow. I've heard those are like the most versatile type.
They are. Think of them like the ultimate blank slates. They can turn into pretty much any cell in the body.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. The potential for regenerative medicine is just huge.
It is. And here's where I think it gets really interesting, especially if you're in the U.S. Because before, if you wanted this kind of treatment, you probably had to travel pretty far.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Places like Panama, Mexico, maybe even Switzerland.
Exactly. And those trips, well, they can get expensive.
Not to mention time consuming.
Right. So by offering these treatments in Florida, Adia Med is, well, they're potentially making stem cell therapy a lot more accessible.
Yeah, I see what you mean. For people who couldn't afford to travel abroad, this could be a real game changer.
Now, let's be real for a second here. Anytime you're talking about medical treatments, especially something as, groundbreaking as stem cell therapy, there's always that question in the back of your mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, is it legit?
Exactly.
Right.
And that's a question it seems like Adia Med is trying to address head on. They're really emphasizing that they operate under U.S. FDA health regulations.
Okay, so their treatments have to meet those specific safety and transparency standards.
Right. What do you think about those FDA regulations, though? Some people are a little skeptical. They see them as a barrier to innovation.
Yeah, I can see that perspective. Regulations can sometimes slow things down,
Right.
but, they're there to protect patients.
That's true.
And in this case, I think FDA oversight helps make sure that the stem cells being used are both safe and effective.
Good point.
And Adia Med, they mention they're using what are called 361 HCTPs. That stands for human cell, tissue, and cellular and tissue-based products.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Right. And these products, they have to be carefully vetted for FDA compliance.
So it's not just about the stem cells themselves. It's about making sure the entire process is held to a really high standard.
Exactly.
And that should give anyone considering these treatments some peace of mind.
Transparency and accountability, they're crucial, especially in a field like this.
I agree. Okay, so they're playing by the rules, which is good. But what exactly are these treatments actually targeting? What kind of conditions are we talking about?
Well, they've highlighted a few key areas. So far, they've mentioned inflammation, autoimmune conditions, and then various orthopedic issues.
Okay, that's a pretty broad range.
It is.
It seems like they're really aiming to make a difference across a lot of different areas of healthcare.
It does seem that way. And they're not just focusing on treatments either.
Hmm.
Adia Med has also said they're committed to contributing to a wider understanding of stem cell therapy.
Oh, interesting. So they want to actually help advance the research and push the field forward.
That's what they've said, yeah.
It all sounds very promising. But, I'm also curious about the long-term effects. Are there any unknowns here that we should be aware of?
That's a great question. And it highlights the fact that stem cell therapy is still a pretty new field.
It is.
While the early results are encouraging, we do need more research to really understand the long-term impacts.
So it's exciting, but we need to be cautiously optimistic.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Now, there's one thing in Adia's announcement I wanted to unpack a bit further. They mentioned something called the same surgical procedure exception. Can you help us understand what that actually means?
Sure. So this exception basically allows certain procedures involving HCTPs.
Right, the human cell, tissue, and all that.
Yes, all of that. It allows them to be exempt from some FDA regulations if those cells are removed and then reimplanted into the same person during the same surgery. It's a bit technical, but the main point is that there are very specific criteria that have to be met.
So even with this exception, it's still highly regulated.
Very much so.
It seems like Adia Med is committed to doing things by the book, which is definitely important for patient safety.
Absolutely. It's a complex regulatory landscape, but in the end, it's all about making sure these treatments are developed and administered responsibly.
Okay, so we've covered Adia's big move. We've talked about the importance of FDA compliance and the types of conditions they're targeting. What are your initial thoughts on this whole development? What stands out to you?
Well, what strikes me most is the potential for increasing access to these types of treatments.
Right.
For a lot of people, stem cell therapy has always felt kind of out of reach, like something that's only available to people who can afford to travel overseas.
Yeah, I can see that.
Adia Med's focus on making these treatments more accessible in the U.S., well, could really be a game changer.
It's like they're trying to democratize access to this cutting-edge medicine.
I like that, democratizing access.
And for you, that can mean having more options and potentially even a better quality of life. But this is just the beginning of our conversation, right? We still need to really dive into the specifics of these treatments, what they could actually mean for people dealing with these conditions.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where we're headed next. We're going to break down the different types of stem cell treatments Adia Med is offering and really explore the potential benefits and risks of each one.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back to keep going with our deep dive.
Welcome back. I'm really interested to see how Adia Med's move might impact the future of stem cell therapy, like the whole field.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it feels like we're at a turning point here, right?
It does.
It's not just about Adia
Yeah.
offering these treatments. It's about them possibly shaking up the entire industry.
Right. Like their presence in the U.S. market, it could really be a catalyst for change.
Exactly.
Think about it. If Adia can actually show that they can provide these treatments, safe and effective ones, and at a good price, well, other companies are going to have to up their game, right?
For sure. It's like they're laying down a challenge.
Yeah.
And that competition, that could lead to, well, more innovation,
Right.
lower costs,
Right.
and ultimately more options for everyone.
Absolutely. It's all about creating that competitive market, which usually means good things for the consumer.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's another side to this. What happens when these treatments become even more available, right?
Right.
How do we make sure everyone has equal access to them? I mean, regardless of their, background or their financial situation.
That's a really good point. We don't want to create a system where only the wealthy can afford these treatments, especially if they're potentially life-changing.
Exactly. And that's where, the conversations about healthcare policy and affordability, that's where it gets really important. It's not just about developing the treatments. We have to make sure that everyone who needs them can actually get them.
Yeah, that's key, for sure. Now, let's maybe shift gears a bit here and talk about Adia Nutrition as a company, right? I mean, this is a pretty big change for them, wouldn't you say? They're known for supplements, not really for, cutting-edge medical treatments.
It is a big change, a bold move, but I also think it's a pretty smart business decision. I mean, the global stem cell market, it's expected to grow a lot in the next few years.
Yeah.
And Adia they're putting themselves in a good position. They could be a major player.
I see what you mean. It's not just them expanding their products, it's them expanding what their brand stands for, right?
Exactly.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're not just about nutrition anymore. We're about this idea of well-being. And that includes having access to the latest medical therapies.
And that message, I think it could resonate with a lot of people. It taps into this desire for personalized healthcare, right?
Yeah, and preventative healthcare too.
Right.
It's about being in control of your own health
Yeah.
and being able to access the best options out there.
Exactly.
And Adia is saying, we want to be a part of that.
It's a powerful message for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But, it can't just be about the profits, right?
Right.
Adia Med has also talked about their commitment to, pushing the whole field of stem cell therapy forward.
Okay, so they're saying the right things, but are they actually, walking the walk?
Well, they've mentioned contributing to research and working to, expand what we understand about these therapies. I think it's too early to say what kind of impact they'll really have, but, the intention seems to be there.
Yeah. And that's what makes this whole thing so exciting, right? It has the potential to be, a win-win for everybody. Adia could see big growth in their business. Stem cell therapy could benefit from the research and investment. And, most importantly, people could get access to these, well, potentially life-changing treatments.
That's the ideal scenario. But I think it's important to remember that, again, this is still a pretty new field, right? There's a lot we still don't know. And we need to approach all this with a mix of excitement, but also caution.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, before we move on, I wanted to go back to something Adia said in their announcement. They mentioned that their CEO, Larry Powless, he's actually inviting shareholders and investors to come visit the new clinic. What do you think about that?
Hmm. I think it's a good move. It shows that they're being transparent, right? And that they want to engage with the community. They're not just, building a clinic, they're building trust.
Yeah, I agree. And that trust is really important, especially when we're dealing with something as, well, complex and potentially groundbreaking as stem cell therapy.
For sure.
So to everyone listening, if you're interested, sounds like Adia Med is open to talking.
Definitely. Stay curious, ask questions, and be involved in your own healthcare.
That's great advice. Okay, so we've covered a lot. The impact on the industry, Adia's motivations, even the invitation to visit the clinic. But what does all of this actually mean for the average person? How could these treatments really benefit someone who's dealing with inflammation or an autoimmune condition or even an orthopedic issue?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're going to explore in our final segment. We'll break down each of the conditions that Adia Med is focusing on and see how stem cell therapy might offer a whole new approach to treatment.
Sounds good to me. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back to wrap up our deep dive. And we're back for our final look at Adia Med's big move into stem cell therapy. So we've talked about the market, the FDA, Adia's goals, all that. But let's get to what probably matters most to you, the treatments themselves.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty, right?
So Adia Med's focusing on three main areas: inflammation,
Yeah.
autoimmune conditions, and then those orthopedic issues. Let's break those down. What makes stem cells so revolutionary for each?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with inflammation, because it seems like pretty much every health problem we talk about these days comes back to inflammation somehow.
Oh, it's a big one, for sure. It's your body's natural defense, right?
Yeah.
But when it's chronic, it's like, well, imagine a fire that just won't go out.
Yeah.
It keeps burning, damaging tissues, and that leads to all sorts of problems. Arthritis, heart disease, even some cancers.
Right, right. Okay, so how do stem cells actually help? How do they put out that fire, so to speak? Well, stem cells are amazing because they can actually modulate the immune system. They can promote tissue repair. Imagine them as like little firefighters. They rush to the scene, they calm things down, and then they help your body heal itself.
So it's not just about covering up symptoms, it's about getting to the root of the problem. I can see why people would be excited about that, especially for chronic inflammation.
Oh, for sure. And the possibilities are huge. Think rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, even some skin conditions. Anything where inflammation is driving it, stem cells could be a whole new way to manage them, maybe even reverse the damage.
That's incredible. But, we have to stay realistic here. Stem cell therapy isn't like a miracle cure or anything.
Right, right. It's not magic. We have to be careful about getting our hopes up too high. I mean, we still need more research to understand how well these treatments work in the long run and if they're safe over time.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so what about autoimmune conditions? Those are, well, they're pretty tricky to treat, right? Because it's your own immune system attacking your body.
Yeah, it's like your body's gone haywire fighting against itself.
Right.
And the treatments we have now, a lot of times, they just suppress the immune system, which, well, that can cause other problems like infections.
Yeah, makes sense. So how could stem cells be different? What could they do?
Well, some research suggests that they might be able to retrain the immune system, so to speak, almost like hitting a reset button so it stops attacking healthy tissue.
So instead of just shutting the immune system down, you're trying to actually fix the underlying issue.
Exactly. And it's showing some real promise. For multiple sclerosis, lupus, even type 1 diabetes, just imagine if we could actually treat those conditions or even cure them. What a difference that would make.
Wow. Yeah, that would be amazing. But again, I'm guessing there's still a lot we don't know, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have a lot to learn, but the potential is definitely there, and that's exciting.
Okay, let's talk about the last category here. Orthopedic issues. I think this is one that a lot of people can relate to, joint pain, sports injuries, just the normal stuff that comes with getting older.
Yeah, for sure. Orthopedic problems are, well, they're everywhere. And stem cells have this unique advantage here. They can actually differentiate, turn into different types of cells, including bone, cartilage, muscle.
Wow. So they can become the building blocks of our musculoskeletal system.
That's it. And that means they can help repair damaged joints, ligaments, tendons. They give your body the tools to actually rebuild itself.
Okay, now I see why this is a game changer, especially for athletes or people with arthritis or anyone with chronic pain.
Right. There's even some early research that suggests stem cell therapy might be able to delay or even replace the need for joint replacement surgery in some cases.
Wow, really? That's incredible. But, okay, let's be real. This is still, well, a new area, right? We have to be
Look,
careful.
for sure, for sure. The early results are exciting, but we need more research to really understand the long-term effects of stem cells for these conditions.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting, but we need to be patient and responsible as this all develops. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Audia's big move, the science behind it, the benefits, the risks. What's the main thing you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think the most important message is this. Stem cell therapy has huge potential. It could really change healthcare. But we have to approach it with, I don't know, informed enthusiasm.
Informed enthusiasm. I like that.
Yeah. And a healthy dose of skepticism, right?
That's a great way to put it. We need to be informed, ask good questions, and have those tough conversations about what this all means, the potential benefits and the challenges.
Exactly. This is a journey we're all on together. And the more informed we are, the better decisions we can make for ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into stem cell therapy and Adia Med's big move into the U.S. Remember, the future of medicine is happening now. It's an exciting time. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.